My name is Ronald Filler. I'm a professor of law and the director of the Financial Services Law Institute at New York Law School. My whole background is in derivatives. It involves both a product called a futures contract as well as an over-the-counter derivatives, commonly referred to as a swap. And I've been involved in that industry since 1975. I teach primarily courses on derivatives law, on the capital markets, and on the regulation of financial institutions. I've been a full-time law professor for the past 6 years, but prior to joining the faculty, I was a managing director in the capital markets prime service division at Lehman Brothers for a little over 15 years. I started in Lehman in early 1993, and the way the markets were traded, the futures markets were traded then it's called open outcry, where customers would call a broker or an order desk, and then they call the floors of the trading floors to then place the orders through the trading pitch. Very similar to what you saw in Trading Places, if you remember the movie. Today, all orders, or predominantly all orders, are traded or executed through the computerized online trading platforms. So the art of computerized trading has revolutionized the way orders are completed today. Anytime you have a financial crisis like we had in 2008, and then we had subsequent events such as MF Global or Peregrine in the futures markets or Madoff in the securities world, the confidence of customers or investors declined tremendously. And when you don't have the public confidence in the markets, the volumes on the markets decline dramatically. The purpose of the regulations is try to instill better customer confidence in the markets, and we've seen a lot of reforms and changes taking place in the last 2 or 3 years that would hope build up or boost that confidence in the market so customers will come back. When you trade, I think every investor out there hopes to make a profit, but they understand they could have a trading loss. In the MF Global matter, and if you remember, the CEO was John Corzine, a former U.S. Senator and Governor of the state of New Jersey. Their assets that the MF Global held on behalf of their customers, and when MF Global filed for bankruptcy in late October 2011, it turns out there was a $1.6 billion shortfall in the customer funds. So while investors may think I might lose $1 today or make $1 today, no one anticipates that the money they put up for margin is going to be taken away from them. And that's what happened, and that hurt the markets tremendously. And subsequent to those events, there have been a lot of regulatory reforms taking place, one by the National Futures Association, or NFA, which is the industry's self-regulatory body, and also by the CFTC, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, which is a federal regulatory agency responsible for the derivatives markets. Well, there's two parts. One, let's just deal with the MF Global situation, and then a year later we had another firm called Peregrine that had something similar happen, where customers' assets were literally stolen. There's been a lot of what we call reforms on the customer asset protection side, both by NFA as well as by the CFTC. So hopefully these new regulatory reforms and changes will try to either minimize or prevent those circumstances from happening in the future. The other major event is 3 years ago, Congress passes a law called Dodd-Frank. And Dodd-Frank was designed to really change dramatically how financial products and how financial firms are to be regulated. And that issue, or that law, has had a tremendous impact on the business. One of the changes to Dodd-Frank, and Dodd-Frank had many titles, but one was Title VII. And Title VII was the regulation of OTC derivatives, swaps. Swaps industry on a global basis is a $600 trillion product. That's trillion with a T. And swaps had never been regulated prior to Dodd-Frank. Swaps was one of the reasons why AIG needed the $185 billion bailout. One of the AIG affiliates traded swaps, overtraded itself, and the government had to bail out AIG to pay off their obligations. And so Title VII of Dodd-Frank has completely change the way swaps are traded by making them subject to extensive regulations. It is completely unprecedented, and I'll give you an example. In the futures industry, futures regulatory world, there's a Part 30 of the rules. Part 30 says you and I, as retail customers, can trade futures on any exchange around the world. And we're not requiring the broker we do business with outside the U.S. to be regulated by the U.S. All they have to do is consent to our jurisdiction. So if they commit fraud, we have the right to bring an action against that firm. But we refer to or defer to their own home country for regulating those firms. They've taken a different approach with the swap industry. And they have taken a more aggressive approach to try to regulate non-U.S. firms who do business with U.S. persons or who do business with affiliates of U.S. persons. So it's going to be interesting to see how that change is going to impact the industry, not just today, but going forward. We don't have enough evidence or proof to determine the validity of or impact of those new rules.